Thank you so much. So we have Carla, who has joined also in November, same time as me, to the LGBTQ2SIA plus representative. And we have some vacant zones. So I will talk about these. And if you live in one of these zones and are interested in taking on a role, we would love to welcome you to the executive. So zone 1 and 2 are vacant right now, as well as our women's rep position, the youth rep position, and there's an additional leaders appointment. So Josh might be very pleased to have two of them to help out with that workload. So yeah, those are the vacant positions that we have. And then we also, last but not least, do have 3 active zone reps. So Jonathan is helping host our meeting in Moncton right now. Iris Lloyd helped set up this CUPE office for us and is our zone 4 representative. And Nick Leons McFarlane is in the zone 5 representative role. So very grateful for the work that those folks are doing. So my big vision, and really what I think we need to do the most, and this isn't my theory of change, this was actually John Horgan's theory of change. I didn't love everything that John did, but he did secure a couple majority governments and did some really good work. And he used to always say that there are new Democrats everywhere. And I truly believe that about New Brunswick, in the province, every city, every community, and every street. They might not know it yet. And it's our job to help them realize it. So that's really the big overarching vision of tonight. So how we're doing. When I talked, I did a survey of our executive first. So people that have been involved in the party for a while, new to the executive. I've been telling these guys I've made over 100 phone calls in the last week trying to get people out to this meeting and just check in with members. And this is kind of what I heard. So everybody is like incredibly impressed with the work that volunteers do. We are a small but mighty team that is punching above their weight in terms of when you think of, and I highlighted this at our strategic planning meeting, is like, you know, I'm used to coming from provinces where we have an entire team of paid staff, like a provincial director, a fundraising coordinator, a this. There's like so many positions. And then we have volunteers on the executive side that do the governance. And then we have people that are elected into the legislature and they have staff that do communications and all of that stuff to make sure that we're out there in the zeitgeist. And here, like, we're doing all of that work as one executive. So it's really impressive what we've been able to, what's been accomplished, but also really challenging in terms of the amount of work that it takes, right? I also heard that people are really proud of how progressive we are compared to other provincial wings. We haven't compromised on a lot of those values, whereas a lot of, like I said, the big tent, philosophy, I feel, has really, especially in the Western provincial wings, has really pushed some of those policies to be less progressive than I think a lot of New Democrats would like to see them be. But we're standing strong, and my hope is that we do both. We build a big tent and we maintain our progressive policies, because I don't think that they have to be compromised. I do think that we're at a tipping point in Canada where most people, like, progressive policy, I heard Avi, and I'm not trying to promote any one candidate or anything like that, but he said in a recent press conference, like, there is a progressive coalition in Canada. It's just about getting people out to vote, getting people on side, it's about the policies actually being bold enough for people to think that they would work, if that makes sense. He talks a lot about the policies that will meet the moment, right? And when we see like halfway wishy-washy policies, people go, well, that won't work anyway, so I'm out, right? So I think that's really important. I've heard that the policy formation, I wasn't part of it because it's before my time, was broad and inclusive. There's a database. I didn't even know you were coming, Lefty. But when Alex told me that you were coming, I was like, I shouted out the fact, like, I'm amazed that I got to a tiny province like New Brunswick and it has a database. Like, it's, that's one of it is, for better or worse, it was a tipping point for the NDP and other parties when we modernized, right? And started moving towards the ability to email people and communicate with people where they were, as opposed to, I think in some ways we've moved a little too far away from that lack of personal connection, door knocking, phone calls, things like that. But it is really great to see that we have a database. Some weaknesses I see is, I called several people. This isn't me highlighting generational gaps. This is literally people telling me that they're 70 years old, they're retired, they did their part, good luck to you, but it's time for another generation. And I respect that, right? Like, it is time but then we're also seeing that the economy is such that people don't have as much time to be politically active as they used to be. So that's a real challenge, right? I already highlighted the no paid staff. There's a lot of feelings of being left without support from the federal party. Again, another reason I'm super excited about launching kind of a bit of a revitalization campaign within the context of the federal leadership race, so that we can be like, hi, we're here, you need to pay attention to us, and what are you going to do if we elect you? There are some gaps in data management, as well as trainings and skill set to use them. So I'm excited about the Action Network, but we also need more people that know how to use it and know how to use like all of the things. I luckily had some Action Network experience, so I was able to jump in and do some of the stuff really quickly, but not necessarily exactly where, not everybody has that skill set. So excited to do some training on that. We talked about this in St. John. It's really challenging with us, and I heard this on the phone too. It's really challenging to not have an elected official, right? Because the media just immediately does not give you as much time of day or air time. So those are a bit of the weaknesses. Opportunities, the federal leadership race, I've already talked about. Organizing that is happening in the grassroots regarding renewal, especially at the federal level. There's just a real focus on, I don't know if you guys got a copy of Emily Tammin, I think is her name's report. She did the party hired this consultation process to be done around the federal election. And so there's a very large report that highlights a bunch of things that the party, that members, candidates, former candidates, all contributed to this feedback of like, this is what you need to do. Cole's notes is like more member engagement. We need to get back to our roots as a grassroots party. It's my very short summary, but it's basically what it says amongst a bunch of things. When I took on this role, I said, yeah, I'll do it, but I want trained organizers. Like I said, I don't want to be in a party that's just administrating and setting up EDAs so that people can have meetings and file reports and gross. I want people trained to talk to people, go out into their communities, find out what is what's affecting them, right? Threats, growth attracts attention. All right. So we have a bit of a weird history that I'm still learning all of the complexities of in New Brunswick. I touched on this with the weaknesses. The worsening economy makes time and resources even more precious to folks. So I'm always thinking about that and how it's hard to, like, I can talk about organizing, getting people involved, but if they don't have the time, that's really challenging, right? So that's a threat I identified. And then the political climate. I mean, I think it would be silly for me to do this presentation this week with everything going on south of the border to not say that it's challenging to get into progressive politics these days without feeling like it could be a bit scary. And I think that's something that we should consider as well. So enough about that. At the provincial council, we this is a little bit like what we're currently doing and things that I'm proud of that we've done in the last few months. So at the provincial council meeting in November, we set up 3 committees: communications, electoral district formation, and events. I'm pleased to announce or share, hopefully it hit your inbox, that we did our first quarterly newsletter. Alex was a big help there, Ty as well. And so those will hopefully be coming out. So it's our answer to not being in mainstream media, is to be trying to share that out ourselves with folks. Quarterly member onboarding. So because we get a list from the feds every quarter of what new members we have, we never have really been like, hey, thanks for being a member, this is how you get involved. We've never communicated with, well, not, I shouldn't say never, I don't know the entire history of the party, but that's something that we're starting to do. And then to coincide with the newsletters, we want to have whatever we focus on in the newsletter, we want to continue those policies kind of for that quarter, or like what we're trying to put out there in the zeitgeist. We also have created the Regional Riding Association model by zones. We do something that I want to get going is a 1-page document explaining the roles and how they work and how they plug into regional organizing. And then this is something that I'll bring up with the executive over the next month or 2, but suggesting that we sort of have a moratorium on forming EDAs until we get those regional riding associations full, so that, again, we aren't burning people out by having to form these little tiny EDAs when we could be all working together at a regional level on regional issues. It's just a small province, and with a small team, it might make more sense. So again, this is one of these ideas that's like not set in stone, just something I'm presenting to members so that we can get some feedback on it and be able to move forward if it seems like a good idea. Events, you're here at our New Year, New President Executive event. So we made it happen. We want to have more events so that we can connect with folks. We also have a delegate selection meeting with leadership candidates on the 17th. And March 6th to 7th, this is a big goal and a big vision of mine, is to have a sort of training. And it actually came out of before we had this idea before the report even came out, but Emily's report highlighted that this is something that successful provincial wings do, is they have activist trainings, not just policy conventions. I know New Democrats love policy and that's great, but to actually have time set aside to learn the tools that we need to win campaigns is arguably just as or more important. So definitely something I want to do. So I've talked about the regional riding associations. I wanted to show you what that would look like. So they're called zones in the Constitution right now. I would love to come up with names for them as opposed to just zone. But the idea is that within every zone, there is a regional representative. So they're kind of like the president, for the lack of a better word. In each zone, there encompasses 2 federal representatives. So they coincide with the federal ridings in that zone. And then they have 10 to 12 riding representatives. So instead of having, to form an EDA, you need at least 3 people. You need a president, a secretary, and a treasurer. Instead of needing 3 people, you just have 1 riding representative that goes to this larger regional riding association, where you can organize still around those regional issues and still have your riding represented. The other thing that we wanted to have represented in the regions was the women's, youth, LGBTQ, and First Nations representatives. So the way that would work is each zone has 1 of those, and then whoever's on the executive is like the chair of that commission or caucus. So we have a chair that sits on the executive, so there's representation, but they aren't just a lone wolf. They have a committee of folks that is paying attention to the issues across the region and coming up with that sort of, whether it's policy or engagement or whatever it needs to be. So that's zone 1 and 2. So Ty, as I mentioned, is in charge of zone 1 right now. Zone 2 is vacant, and we have Nick, Iris, and Jonathan with zone 3, 4, and 5, respectively. So I'm just going to move on from that. I know we're about 5 minutes over right now, but I think I can wrap up in the next 5. So I would love if folks could bear with me. So I feel like where we're going is the path to representation is paved with member engagement through regional organizing first, rooted in issue-based organizing, following the principles of organizing for power, followed by federal EDAs that have strong provincial riding representation. So I think that by June 2026, if we do a really good job of member engagement and targeting these positions of riding representatives, we could have full regional riding associations at full capacity. And I'm not saying like we can't form EDAs, just that if you think about, we could form like active federal EDAs, because by having the riding representatives, you essentially have enough people for one federal, if that makes sense. I would also like to increase by 5. We are about 300 members right now. By June, I would like to get ourselves to 500 members. I think it's doable. And then by the following March, I would like, so we maintain that regional riding association, and you always have that kind of as your baseline. And then we can activate half of our provincial EDAs, hopefully have a full federal EDA slate, be at 2,000 members. And then by the following year, that's when we would be able to have full active provincial EDAs, have our federal EDAs going, be at 5,000 members, and in my vision, my hopeful real world is ready to run a full slate of candidates and elect at least 3 MLAs. By 2029, I'm hoping that we are at the place where we can hire party staff. And why membership matters is I think that Labor parties of late have focused too much on treating members like ATMs, when all you have to do is treat members well and they'll treat you well back. And so if you look at 5,000 members, if all you didn't do any other fundraising, no other donating, no like, oh, it's the end of our quarter, could this be right? Have you really only given us $100? None of that stuff. If you had 5,000 members donating on average the reason I chose $120 a year is because I would like to see members getting in the habit of just donating their membership every month, because it does a lot of good for the party to know that they can have those funds consistently. And it also means that you don't have to know when your membership runs out. There's so much that we do at the party level that you have to be a member for. It's like if you just knew that this is what I do, I just have my credit card on $10 a month. I know I'm always a member. I'm always going to want to be a member, so there's just no sense in having it be questioned. So if you had 5,000 members that had that idea, that philosophy, that would be $600,000 in revenue a year. That's why I think we could hire staff and actually have an active party with 5,000 members. So I have a few like random things. These weren't in high level stuff that I wanted to talk about, but they're just like the nitty gritty of what we're working on. We need a website and we need to manage our data. If we want to bring in 5,000 members, we have to be able to, like I said, communicate with them, let them know how to get involved, bring them in and constantly be, nurturing them. And so we need to have our website doing that work better. We need new EDA handbooks and guides. I didn't, to be honest, look a ton at the past New Brunswick stuff, but I know from looking at other provincial wings, BC in particular, it really, like, the EDA handbooks do have this culture of treating members like something to exploit at election time, not active in the participation and running of the party. So I would really like to have made in New Brunswick EDA handbooks for that long-term salute, like that, when we're ready to go from those riding representatives to electoral district associations, I want to be like, this is your job. And currently we're not at that stage, and it's really challenging to say, like, it's hard to go to somebody and be like, be an EDA, like start an EDA without being able to tell people what that means and what their job is. And really, I would love to be able to influence the culture of where we're going with those handbooks. Issues-based campaigning, I've talked a ton about that and how that works with regional riding associations. We need to get out of the silo of political ideology and into what people care about in their communities. And that's, again, where that regional model can support that. And then strengthening our relationship with labor. We talked about this. Sorry, I made you sit through my entire presentation to get to this one section. But labor already has a very similar structure to the Regional Riding Association in the form of these district councils. So we start showing up there more. We get those folks involved in being those riding representatives, as well as the riding representatives working with labor to do those campaigns and do that organizing to make sure that when labor goes to the polls, they're voting NDP.
They're called labor councils.
Sorry, I thought they were district.
St. John and Region District Labor Council.
Yes.
So we call them labor councils.
Gotcha.
In the whole province. And there's 9 of them.
Yes, and they kind of, that's what I mean by there's like this similar kind of, we can work with that model and translate it to our regional riding association model, I think, with some folks' help. Okay, let's start today. Who wants to be a member for $10 a month?
I'm already doing that.
There you go. I got one taker here. So I'll probably let folks that want to get to the Tennille event do that now. But also if you want to stick around and ask me questions, but I'm also going to the Tennille event after. So if you have questions about, I would prefer you go to the Tennille thing. And if you have questions about this or want to like chat more, let's catch up at the Tennille event. And otherwise, I'm going to stay on with my folks here on the computer. What's your schedule? Because do you have to lock up for me or?
Yeah, I'm good. Don't worry.
Okay.
All good.
Okay. Questions, comments, concerns? Oh,
I got
shoot. Yes. Sorry, I just realized somebody was in the waiting room, so I feel bad.
Oh shoot, I was just flagging that I had tasked me on the handbooks, EDA handbooks a few months ago. I already have an active draft of something we wrote for you.
Oh, perfect. Great. Well, I assume if it came from you, it is not just administration.
No, it's actually a combination, a Frankenstein of our prior EDA manual as combined with the federal one, with more like insights and grassroots organizing I included and stuff.
Great. Brian, I'm so sorry. Is that Brian? I just see it's BGMK, and I remember there was somebody, Brian McKnight, coming in. I'm so sorry you were in the waiting room and missed the presentation, but we did record it, most of it, so I will get that to you. and we're just doing a little Q&A here from whatever I talked about. And the other thing I was going to mention is here in St. John, I put up like a post-it, what do you call those, flip chart page with questions for leadership candidates. So I want to remind folks that on January 17th, on Saturday, we are actually going to have Rob Ashton, Heather McPherson, and Tony McQuail, who are the three candidates for federal leadership that we have not heard from yet in our province. They're going to be at our convention information session. And so we have a few questions here that folks have put up, but I would love to field other ones. And then I'll get together with some folks on the executive and see what we can do about a democratic process to figure out which ones we'll ask. And then the other thing I did is, because I talked so much about issues-based campaigning and that regional model, I would love to hear, I asked people here in Zone 4 to identify issues that they think would be particular to their region. We've decided that housing is one that applies to Zone 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But if there's ones that are in your, whatever campaigns you think, issues you think are hot in your region, that would be great. Any questions? I see somebody in the chat saying that they are not, you mean you're not in one of the zones that is vacant? Okay. What zone would north of Grand Bay be?
Top of my head, I believe that's High Zone, but I could be wrong.
Okay.
Grand Bay, that's
Sorry.
St. John.
Yeah, Grand Bay, it's just north of St. John. Sorry. I just don't want to interrupt anybody, which is why I'm using the chat. And also, I'm very, very bad at Zoom meetings, so I apologize.
No apologies necessary. I left somebody waiting in the waiting room. Yeah, so there are definitely other positions on, so you could be a riding representative though. So that's the way it works, is we have like, so there would be a region representative, which would be Iris, because she's, that's the zone. But then whatever, like there's 10 to 12 provincial ridings that that you could potentially be a riding representative for.
Right, absolutely. I think that's something that you mentioned during this meeting, was actually about how, people trying to get into this don't exactly know what they're doing. And that absolutely explains me to a T. I just need guidance and understanding to, like, do the thing. Wow, that was very eloquently said of me.
Yeah, awesome. No worries. We are here to help for sure. And like I said, that's what we want to, that's something that'll be a priority for us, is to explain like what a riding representative does. And then the regional representatives will kind of figure out how often you meet, what that all looks like. It's, you say you're new, we're kind of new. This is like a new model that we're trying to kind of pioneer. But I think it's really cool that a lot of what we're talking about here is really like, it's kind of like a council of EDAs that was mentioned in Emily's report as well, that has been a model that's been used in the past in the party. And the party, through years and years of centralization, actually got rid of those types of regional models. And now she's suggesting in her report that we should go back to things like councils of EDAs. And I'm like, well, good thing we met in St. Andrews because that's what we came up with was basically that exact kind of model was why are we all like replicating the same thing? Why aren't we just working together, you know? So, yeah. If you want to, like people going to Tennille's event should definitely go now. Yeah, see you there. Yeah, I don't want to make you late. I hope they don't last minute assign you a job like I did. Sorry.
Yeah, it's not line up right here. We're here.
You should go. Go meet.
What is it?
This is good.
It's a federal leadership candidate, Tennille Johnston.
Rob Ashley, the guy that came to St. John
Yeah.
and talked at our picket line.
Did he? When did he come?
About a year ago.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good.
And he was really quite an effective speaker.
No, it's okay. I'm all good.
If you do get the chance, go tell him that the postal workers still talk about it.
Great. He's going to be there on Saturday.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So can I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
Where I do that $120 thing a year and doing it for years, do I not have to renew my membership?
No.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Do you do it through the provincial side of things or the federal side?
I don't know. Going to Jennifer.
Okay, it's provincial then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd have to renew Fed yet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, I'm not interested. I like that way.
I want to make sure that
I'm good prevention, right? So
Yeah.
that's absolutely something.
Good.
If something's going on federal, I wanted to do something that I enjoy.
Yeah.
Very nice meeting you.
Yeah, you too. Thank you so much for coming. And let's work on that labor stuff.
this is your office. Yeah.
Any other questions online in Moncton?
I have a quick question. For the meeting next weekend, is it the leadership? Is there going to be like a link to sign up for to get that Zoom information, or how's that being organized?
That's a great question. So you haven't gotten one yet? Because there was an announcement. It should have been like notice of delegate selection.
Well, I've seen the social media posts, and I think I got the email, but I just didn't see where to get that the Zoom link. Maybe I missed it. It's possible that I just didn't see the link to click or whatnot, but
Yeah, no worries. So did you RSVP for this event and
yeah.
put your email and stuff? So
Yeah.
we'll make sure that everybody that RSVP'd to this we'll because I've been talking about it a lot. I'll make sure that we resend. I'll do a thanks for coming to this event type thing and make sure you have the link.
Awesome. Perfect. Sounds great.
And Josh says they will be sending the link in a reminder email as well. So we'll make sure
I
that
thought it was better to send in a reminder email in case people didn't see the first email or they forgot about it. So I thought it was better to send it then.
Perfect. Sounds great. Thanks, Josh.
Yeah, my inbox is a disaster, so I appreciate reminder emails.
all good.
Thanks for putting this on. It was a good presentation.
Thanks. I appreciate that. Yeah, and I'd encourage folks to check out. Why don't I go back to the well, I can't put all of them up, but I was just gonna say it would be good for there's somebody coming in from the waiting room again. Just be good for for us to put out what riding representative positions are available so that
Could we do that in a social media post? Put up who to contact and what positions are available. Could that be a social media post going up or an email?
Yeah, I think so.
That way, new people know who to contact or how to apply for positions.
Yeah. Or even if it does interest you, just send me an email. I'll put that in the chat. president@ndp.ca. Just say I'm interested and this is my riding. If you don't know your riding, just look it up by your postal code. And then it might actually be easier to do it that way because we have a lot of them available. So yeah. So one of the things that we will be doing at the January 17th meeting is we're calling it convention information. So we will be, first of all, we'll hear from the leadership candidates. Second of all, we will be going over resolutions that we can potentially submit to convention. The decision on those resolutions will be made on the 21st. So there's kind of like, there's a part 1 and there's a part 2 to this meeting on the 17th. Part 1 is just information about the resolutions, as well as information about how many delegate seats we have. And we're hoping to get a interest list of who would like to be a delegate to convention. The challenge is that with the way that our membership works is, or has been working, is we have like concentration of members in some ridings, like St. John and Moncton have a high concentration of members and active people. But then there's only one delegate spot for each of those EDAs. But then we also have like, there's 10 delegate spots across the province. So we want to find out how many people want to go so that we can fairly allocate the EDAs based on region and who is or isn't available to go. And the other thing I want to say is we have 10 youth delegate seats on top of the 10 EDA seats. So if you know any young people, my gosh, anyone 26 or under, I think we could easily get them a delegate seat and have even more representation at convention, which would be amazing. So I just wanted to plug kind of what is going to be happening on Saturday. So any member can submit a resolution to us to, we're going to be submitting the resolutions as a provincial wing. We can do that. And so if you are like, you know, this is a policy I really care about and want to see put forward, you can bring it to us on Saturday. And we will include it in the consideration, and then we'll vote on the 21st on resolutions that we're going to submit as a provincial wing, as well as we're going to try and figure out this delegate thing as best as we can. Some notes about convention. There are some travel subsidies offered by the party if you go on the website, but it can be expensive. You have to pay to be a delegate. There's also, it's in Winnipeg, so there's going to be flights involved and things like that. So definitely some considerations there. But we, like, huge goal of mine on top of everything else that I talked about, to have our full delegate allotments used from New Brunswick. Because the problem is if we don't use them, we kind of have to give them back to the party, and somebody from somewhere else could be using our delegate credential to maybe not represent our interests. So and I think it's just, you know, we're, like I said, trying to use this opportunity at the federal level to as the federal leadership campaign going on, to really kind of be like, hey, look at us, and build that accountability. And I think showing up to convention is a big part of that, right? So yeah, that's my soapbox about convention. You going to convention, Nick?
Which one? I'm going home when I can.
Yeah. No questions? Serge, I'm so sorry. You're just arriving. You missed my presentation. Also, I apologize. Now I'm going to sound like a federal leadership candidate. I do not speak French, and I'm going to work on it. I promise. But I do not have a French version. Je suis désolée. Is that right? So bad. I grew up in New Brunswick. Everybody's always like, "Oh, do you speak French?" And I was like, "No." My southern New Brunswick elitism coming out there. Sorry.
No problem.
Yeah, so I did record the presentation, most of it. Like I said, hopefully we can maybe do like a thank you for coming, and here's the recording type thing. And I really hope to see you all on the 17th. I think it's going to be great with Rob and Heather and Tony. And that's my email there, president@nbndp.ca, or I will also put in my personal email because that works too. Also, I'm just like super open to like chatting anytime. So there's my cell phone number. And yeah, if we didn't get a chance to connect more, or haven't had a chance to connect, I am happy to make time, space for anyone that wants to chat NDP stuff. Some women collect shoes and have shoe addictions. My addiction is politics. So I joke that yeah, some women are like, "Can I buy another pair of shoes?" And I'm like, "Can I make another political contribution? I really like this other leadership candidate now." Okay, well, we're hitting 7 o'clock, and I know that was our deadline at the Moncton venue, and my friends here at CUPE would like to get home as well. So I think we'll end there. Solidarity, everyone, and we'll send out the link to the recording for sure.
Thanks
Have
for
fun
hosting-
tonight with Neil.
Thanks. Yeah.
Thank you for hosting, Christine.
Thank you. Thanks for everything. Okay, bye-bye.